Poštovani gledaoci, dobar dan. Vi gledate još jedno izdanje emisije Pola, sata, Demostata. Naš današnji gost je ambasador Finske u Republici Srbiji, gospodin Niklas Lindkvist. Your Excellency, hello and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here with us today. And let's start with our first question. Tell us something more about bilateral relations between Serbia and your country, and what areas of cooperation you're most proud of.
Well, thank you for the question. We have very good relations between Finland and Serbia. And actually, we celebrated 95 years of diplomatic relations last year. So we are now coming close to 100 years very soon. And things are going well. Was very happy to note that last year we had a visit of the Finnish foreign minister here in Serbia. We had a speaker of the parliament. We had a foreign affairs committee of the parliament here. We had political consultations. So it's very vibrant. And also on the economical side, trade is growing. As ambassador, I would like it to grow even more, but of course that's up to companies. So we are trying to help companies come in on the Serbian market, of course.
What are the plans for our country's cooperation for this 2025?
Well, one thing that is, it's a bilateral thing, but it's also a multilateral thing, is that Finland holds the chairmanship of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, for this year. So that means that, of course, we are very much involved with all the participating countries, and Serbia is one of them. So this is one forum where we will definitely have a lot to cooperate around. Then we are also working with our Nordic colleagues here. We are going to start a big project about smart cities. So we're going to have different kind of happenings around the country, telling about how the Nordic countries approach this question in the Nordic region, because we have done it together there. So this, I think, could be a good example also for Serbia to learn from that. We do also have a couple of Finnish cultural things. It's 160 years since Jean Sibelius was born, so we're going to have a concert with music of Sibelius here. And then the main thing, 80 years after Tove Jansson's moving characters were first drawn, which is a Finnish cartoon character that is worldwide known. So we're going to celebrate that as well.
Great, a lot of things in front of all of us. You're an ambassador from a NATO ally. How do you see NATO today, and what do you think is the added value of NATO in the current geopolitical context?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's very important that you have an organization that is involved in, of course, security questions, but more and more political questions as well. So we have political and security issues that can be discussed with NATO, and NATO is, of course, promoting more stability in these talks. But also not to forget that NATO, of course, is founded on certain values like democracy, rule of law, transparency, equality, and things like that. That in the dialogue with NATO can definitely provide more value in these questions.
And here in Serbia, we are all aware that the general perception of NATO, but not just here in Serbia, is that NATO is a purely military organization. This is also due to the heavy legacy of the past. However, we know that NATO is also a political organization. Could you elaborate on this for our audience?
Yes, I mean, of course, NATO was founded after the Second World War as a military alliance for defensive purposes. Good to point out, I think. But also after that, NATO has evolved a lot. Today it's a political organization as well. And I think you can see that even in the cooperation with Serbia, that we are doing a lot in the spheres of environment, energy, different preparedness questions, disaster relief, and things like that. So NATO is so much more than just the defense dimension.
Your embassy is going to be a contact point this year. Could you tell us a bit more? And are there any plans for this year already known?
Yes, we are actually taking or have already taken over the role as a contact point embassy, which is something NATO has in important partner countries. We do this together with the German embassy here. And our main role is public diplomacy, to inform the public in Serbia about what NATO is, what NATO does with Serbia, and basically increase the knowledge about NATO. There will be an opening event at one point here in the spring. We're going to celebrate a little bit also Finland's membership day, which is actually also the birthday of NATO on the 4th of April.
So you are prepared for that. What should be done when it comes to being a contact point for NATO, in your view? What should be done more?
Well, I think we need to go more out and talk to Serbian people and the population here. I don't think we need to inform politicians or officials about what NATO is, because they know that. But maybe the normal people in the streets, they don't know very much. Reach out to universities, to schools, maybe even, and think tanks, and people in general. I think that's our main audience.
So communication is the key.
Yes,
in this way.
Correct.
In the light of what you just said, how important do you think is the political dialogue among allies, and also between allies on one side and partner countries on the other?
I think it's very important, and I think one way at looking at this is that we have 32 member countries in NATO. We have over 40 partners. So there is a huge interest in being involved in these talks with NATO and within NATO and with other partners, of course, as well. So this is actually something that brings a lot of dialogue and cooperation, not only to NATO countries, but much wider group of countries. And this, of course, everything ties into increasing stability, increasing peace, increasing ways of communicating and making the world a safer place.
Mm-hmm. What are your views on NATO's partnership with Serbia? How do you see it evolving throughout time?
Well, I mean, Serbia has been a partner in the Partnership for Peace for a long time, from 2006. Actually, as well as 2006, the NATO military liaison office opened in Serbia. So there's a lot of cooperation going on with Serbia. And I think it's good to know and remember that also there is different programs that are developing very well with Serbia. There's a Science for Peace and Security program. There is a disaster response. Not to forget then women, peace and security. And of course, there was also a lot of cooperation during the pandemic with the coronavirus. So there's a huge palette of different cooperation projects going on.
In your opinion, how much is it important to have a variety of programs and to cover different areas?
Well, I think that's maybe one of the key questions of how to approach security, because security is not only about military security. Security for any nation is more of a whole of society perspective that is needed. So you need to have well-functioning officials, you need to have well-functioning rescue operations, you have to have well-functioning food supply. So really having cooperation in all these areas all tie into the main goal of security.
Being versatile.
Exactly.
Let's look at the broader regional context. Also, how do you assess the evolution that the Western Balkans countries underwent since the late 1990s, and what is there in future?
Well, obviously, the 90s was a hard time in the region, but I think it's very good to note how far the region has come from that. Today, peace and stability is very well guarded in the region. Yes, there are problems. There are always problems anywhere in the world. But compared to that time, this region is doing very, very well. And not only in that peace and security region and sectors, but also when you look at the economy. These countries in the Western Balkans are growing at a decent pace. Now, of course, that pace could be even higher. And that's where I think we come into the question about EU membership and doing reforms to reach that EU membership, because that would be really a new area opening up for the whole region if we could welcome you into the EU family, which is, of course, what we want to do.
Speaking of advantages, what do you think are the main advantages of a partnership, both for Serbia and NATO?
Well, I think it's really the commitment to the values that we both share. Rule of law, democracy, human rights. These are things that need to be on the basis of any cooperation and any state that wants to prosper.
Would you like to add something about the values? How important they are to be followed throughout the time and to be persistent with following the values?
Well, obviously, values are good, but they need to be implemented also in society always. And that is, I think, one of the recipes for my own country's prosperity, that we have achieved that. And people can really feel safe, they can feel equal, they can feel that they are protected and things. So these are very important things, and I think people know it in the Balkans as well.
Serbia and Finland are almost similar when it comes to the number of people. You have 5.5 millions of people. We have, let's say, around 6.57 million. So are there also other similarities when it comes to safety, but also the importance of the country in the region?
Well, I think it's important to note that Serbia has always been very open to forming relationships with countries all over the world. And that's, I think, is a very good thing to do, because you need to build a dialogue with other countries. You need to understand where they come from. I think a little bit the same that Finland has been doing also. We have always been very eager to have open channels to all countries in the world.
Mm-hmm. And what would be your message for the population in Serbia? Not just in Serbia, but let's say the young population of the Western Balkans.
Well, I would say that we already talked about our common values. They are very important. Make sure that they are implemented in the country. That's definitely a key thing to... I mean, yes, it's tied also into the EU integration process. But these values are important for the country, even if you don't apply for membership in the EU. So that's good to remember. And maybe the other thing, regional cooperation. Because the Western Balkans countries, they know each other. And I think there could be more cooperation between the countries. There's a good start already, but I'm coming from the region up north with the Nordic countries, and we have very close cooperation between the countries. And we have all benefited hugely from that. Even before Finland joined the EU, we benefited from that. So that's good to develop, and not only maybe look at EU integration or other things, but in parallel also work on the regional integration here. And then maybe to aim for in the future, it would be good to have a region where you could see the diaspora wanted to come back to the country, aiming for building a society that is really welcoming to everybody, and making people who rightly so can live where they want. But if you have a really good situation in the region here, people will want to also come back in bigger numbers.
A very interesting message. It's also important to mention that Finland is among the best countries in the world when it comes to disinformation defense and fight against disinformation. We are aware that there is a lot of disinformation in the area of safety, but also when it comes to NATO-related questions. What would be your message for the young population, how they can be more immune to what disinformation bring?
Well, the main thing is, of course, always to question what is the source of any information and be critical to that. On a more societal level, it's important to include these things in education, that people already in schools learn to be critical about what they read online. In Finland, we have in the textbooks already in the 3rd or 4th grade, there are chapters about how to be critical about this. So start from a young age and educate people in how to use social media and the internet.
So not to be afraid, but rather to grasp it and be more careful.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Poštovani gledaoci i slušaoci, gledali ste još jedno izdanje emisije Pola, sata, Demostata. Moje ime je Tamara Bajčić, a do sljedećeg viđenja i slušanja ne zaboravite da se pretplatite na naš kanal na YouTube-u i naravno da nas zapratite na svim društvenim mrežama. Doviđenja i prijetno!